Hi, John from York Bay Financial Partners, looking at investment markets. Some of the banking pressures appear to be sort of easing in the US. Some of these sort of regional banks now are sort of coming back, and has certainly seen a drop off in deposits being withdrawn. So that sort of helped stabilize the markets just a little bit. We've certainly seen a little bit of a pop in most of the major US indices. We're on the interest rate front, and bonds 10 years back to 355, and that 2 year is back above 4%. Now that did get down to sort of low 3.7s, but currently around 405 on the 2 year yield. Which, when you compare that to sort of Fed funds, the target rate now is 475 to 5%. Analysts are sort of peaking there that rates will be around sort of 5.15 or 5.25 as a sort of peak. Now, what this move up in sort of bond rates does sort of imply in the US is that the market is maybe less concerned now about a full-blown sort of banking crisis. Interesting in the US as well, the existing home sales are actually up. That was the first time it's been up for around 12 months. So again, shows a little bit of a sort of, encouraging signs towards the economy, and maybe people feeling a little bit sort of safer and sort of a little bit more sort of confident about their job prospects as well. Because certainly in the US, it's still got a pretty robust job market, and it's just going to be interesting now to see how it plays out over the next sort of couple of weeks. Now, on the political front, I see Mike Pence has now been ordered to testify in the Trump grand jury. So that could be very interesting, especially as ex-President Trump has just launched his presidential campaign and run for the 2024 elections. Now, oil has popped back above 70 bucks, currently around sort of 73 bucks a barrel. And that's really on the back of Kurdistan sort of supply issues. Now, in the UK, the Bank of England did increase the base rate there, put it up by a quarter point to 425. And that's really on the back of still persistent inflation there. Inflation did pop back above that sort of 10% level on those latest readings. Was expected to come in around 9.9 and came in at 10.4. Now, in Europe, sort of mass protests. In France, you've got protests about increasing the retirement age. They're going to President Mitterrand has moved to push that through the Parliament and looking to increase that from 62 to 64, which is quite sort of ironic because most countries have a 65 sort of retirement age anyway. So France will still be a year below that, but they're sort of protesting, a mass protest in the street. Also, as well, protests in Germany about wage increases, and again, that's sort of pretty unheard of, really, in Germany. And also a worrying sort of development in the Ukraine-Russia war. Russia has now sort of stated that it's going to move some of its sort of deployment of nuclear weapons into Belarus. Now, these are tactical weapons, apparently, and obviously Belarus is a very close ally of Russia. But again, a worrying sort of development, and Putin just sort of flexing his muscle, although obviously with a very friendly state, as if to say, sort of, you know, but basically to the West, what are you going to do about it? And in reality, the West can do very little about it. Now in Australia, quite interesting on the state level in New South Wales, a big victory there for Labor, and that looks like they're going to push through some more sort of wage increases in line with inflation, which potentially could be inflationary for the economy. Also as well, it'll be interesting to see if the Reserve Bank does actually pause in April. Interesting with the major Australian banks as well, they come back reasonably well after that little sort of blip on the back of the US sort of banking issues. Here in New Zealand, the Reserve Bank meets again on April the 5th, and again, it'll be very interesting to see what happens because, you know, a lot of people are still looking for a 25 basis point hike. And if that is the case, I will take the OCR to 5%. And given most analysts and economists are sort of pointing to a sort of a peak of 525, really there's not much more to go. And new Prime Minister Hipkins facing his first sort of major internal sort of issue with sort of demoting and removing Stuart Nash after some sort of political blunders and sort of misdemeanors. So it will be interesting now to see the next sort of opinion poll because, you know, certainly Hipkins is facing quite a bit of pressure as well with its sort of handling of the Greens co-leader. Now, what is quite apparent is that tourists are still spending quite a bit of money here in New Zealand, despite the recent sort of weather issues. And that's just going to be interesting to see if that continues over the next sort of 2 to 3 months. Because obviously that's a pretty major boost for the New Zealand economy. In the fixed interest space, a few sort of issues are coming to market around the sort of 5 to 6 years and looking at around sort of a 570 sort of interest rate, which, you know, if you compare with that what it was sort of 12 months ago, it's pretty reasonable. Now, if you are looking for income options, go to the website www.bayfinancialpartners.co.nz for lots of interesting articles, and we'll look forward to speaking to you soon.